Hi there, welcome back to the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery. Today we're going to be continuing on with discussions, catching up and answering any questions from the previous video I did, the comment section, as well as adding on my additional thoughts. Wanted to just catch up session right now so we don't fall too far behind. As you know, the order of how we do things nowadays is the serious important stuff, get straight into and focus on specifically. Then we can have a debrief session just after. And that's kind of like what we're doing now. Of course, it's welcome thoughts, opinions in the comment section down below if you do have anything to share or talk about, or if you do have questions. And for those that are currently here in this live premiere, welcome. Feel free to share your thoughts and talks in the live chat box, right-hand side of the screen. I'd say in recent time, not just the Kenny Veach case, but it just feels like a range of stuff has gone on, right? Bits of material news going about from Dylan Round's case and certain key individuals there to Kenny Veach, hikers returning back out there and strange experiences being met, and even dealing with the odd other newish missing person case, at least on my channel. It's about balancing it all out, arranging it in the appropriate order, right? Whenever there's breaking news, that'll come first, okay? Whether it's in Kenny Veach case, Dylan Round's case, or maybe the Christine Passay Parker one, right? Because there's only a small amount of cases I operate on. Most people will know that by now. As for the new people that come on in, you get the idea of things. Just as, you know, like my playlist, the videos, how it is focused on a certain area. It just works best for me. I'm able to focus more and take it in more. I do feel like if I branched out too much and did too many singular cases, it feels like I'm not giving it my all. But at times, you can only do and say and cover so much depending on how much material there is to work with, right? But I like being able to go in a bit deeper than how the big channels just cover one thing, skim over it, and then move on, right? It just feels incomplete. If you're going to start something, you want to try and finish what you set out to complete or set out to do in general, right? So we can look at the YouTube comments today, look back at the comments there, see what people had to say, you know, in response to the latest thing we've been covering, and that is Picture Canyon. I'm going to give you my thoughts straight away. You can share yours down below. We could do it as a poll, or if you want to, well, you could do it as a poll, some voting options, and then the other option can be other. So the poll of this opening discussion: what is your area of interest when it comes to the Kenny Veach case? You know, Sheep Range in general, Joe May Canyon, Picture Canyon, where the caves are, that hot spot area, where the sword and tent was found further north, Cow Coral Road that passed by, the road that passes through those mountains, was it Black Hill Gap, Hidden Forest Trail, you know, whatever it may be, or even somewhere in Las Vegas, if it stands out to you. What is the most interesting area to you when it comes to the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery case, right? Right. If you look at the patterns on my channel, what I've been covering, it's mainly followed the area of where those caves were, the covered one, the M-shaped one, the keyhole cave, and then the cave Kenny appeared scared of, all in a small area. Changes in behaviour to Kenny, how he reacted, coincidences following one after another. That's what created the interest and intrigue. Besides the caves that are there and what stands out, it's how Kenny Veach acted and reacted when he was in that environment. That's what created a bit of intrigue and interest, you know, from my point of view. But in recent time, it's actually shifted, right? Because previously, for the last year or two, it's been focused in that area where the caves are. And when it came to Picture Canyon, I didn't think as much about it as I do now, right? Because when you look back at Picture Canyon, the way Kenny Veach was, he seemed okay in behaviour, but it's what happened, what was around him at the time, him acknowledging about the presence of a previous hiker back then, which who else would actually go there, right? What would their actual purpose be in a place like that? For Kenny, it was looking for the M Cave. But who else is like Kenny, right, at a time like that? That's what's interesting. But as well, maybe some of the rocks, the formation of it, and then that M symbol on the back wall. If you want to know a further analysis, the proof, the photos of the M Cave symbol new finding, check back on the previous video I did on this case. Top right corner of the screen, I symbol, you click on that, you'll be redirected to it, as well as some playlist if you want to catch up over the, overall picture and everything that I've documented. Down below in the comment section as well, pinned comment, there'll be some additional links there if you wish to check them out. Of course, in recent time, shout out to Cleo for her presence and her super chats. Very good of her. And even last night, shout out to Jim Coddington, I think that's how you say the person's name. Much appreciated for their presence as well. So with that all being said and done, returning back to the Picture Canyon discussion, because it will tie in with the comments later. I just want to add on my additional thoughts right now, whilst things are still fresh and ongoing. But looking back at 2014 footage from Kenny Veach's point of view, the very first time recorded out there, I guess, arguably speaking, when you look at it from his public channel and the videos that are present or still remain besides the others. But still to this day, there are things to find through the footage. Visually, auditory, right? Still picking up on stuff. From the stranger audio to the sounds to the visual findings as well, which may not be noticed immediately but are down the line. And it's the fact that a couple of these findings seem to be in clusters close together in proximity or timing, such as a coincidence. Multiple different events occurring one after another simultaneously, maybe. So when we had that key cave hotspot area and those coincidences there, the visual aspect, Kenny's reaction and his response kind of tied in with, does Kenny actually know this area? Is he familiar with it? Is he remembering something from the past but not quite fully there, because he might be in a bit denial or confusion? So how does that compare to Picture Canyon? Picture Canyon, an area which to him he doesn't seem to acknowledge as much. Even how he refers to the area, I don't even think he calls it Picture Canyon. Previously, before he gets there, he mentions Skull Canyon, I think. Now, I believe when you go on Google Earth, it's not labelled as Skull Canyon. It's not worded. I don't know if it'll show up on other maps, but at least on Google Earth, I've never really seen it. Picture Canyon is obviously labelled. Joe May Canyon is labelled also. So you got that. I mean, well, actually, no, I don't know about Joe May Canyon. You got Joe May Road, which then leads up to Joe May Canyon. I don't know if it's two separate wordings or if they've only just used one word, one name for it. But yeah, Jeff Clark was putting across, does Kenny Veach use maps? Is Kenny Veach really there with it, with keyword terminology and names of places? Or does he only refer to just a couple, such as Gas Peak, even though he was pointing in the wrong direction? It was back that way. Harry mentioned, what, Sheep Peak? Did he mention that? Did he call it Wild Horse Pass, or did he just say over that ridge, over the hill, over that way? I think that's how he did. So why is he not using keywording and key terminology, right? Is it just because he doesn't see the need to? He doesn't really care? I don't know. It's just like, if you're going out there and you want to try and present it to people, like a presentation, you want it to be as clear as possible. Keywording, summaries, descriptions, so you know where he's at, what he's doing, at what point in the hike, right? So you can follow it a bit more closely. Even just providing coordinates would be useful if you didn't know the name of the area. But because of Google Earth, which still would have been present back then, even in 2014, of course, Google Maps too, and the usage of maps. Okay, Kenny didn't have GPS, he didn't see the point of it. He managed without it, arguably up to a certain point at least. Now, in the short video series that I have been uploading recently, and you'll see it in the original unreleased footage as well, but there is a bit towards the end of the video where he does say, I'm going to check my map, and don't worry, I'll play that footage to you in the shorts down the line. It's coming very close to the end of that series, right? If you ever wondered why the shorts were broken up, first of all, it's done in a short format to spread awareness to a wider, broader audience, those who may not be familiar with the case, or at least my channel. So it has been beneficial there. It has brought more people in over time, and you'll see new faces, fresh opinions and angles, perspectives. So that's obviously a benefit and positive impact to the case overall. But as well, they're about 20 seconds long, just because I know humans quite a few out there do have a low attention span, bit degenerative, unfortunate. It is what it is. But you break it up in a suitable length. YouTube acknowledges the average view duration, so they're more likely to push it out there, so then more people see it, and if more people see it, the more informed about the case and the more chance they are in coming on over with their thoughts and resources maybe. There is a method to it all, and it needs to be done accordingly, and it has been up to now. But it is coming to that point, the end of the series there, because it's coming towards the end of that video as for the length of the footage. So there's about 1 to 2 more clips to get out, and then we can always refer back to 1 or 2 of the clips because it does tie in with a full-blown video, 1 or 2 of them, so that's going to be coming soon. I just wanted to do this video in between just to try and get to grips with everything and catch up with where I left off from, that's all. Of course, yesterday, it was yesterday, wasn't it? If I said anything about Kenny Veach, oh, check out the previous video, I don't mean yesterday, I mean days beforehand, because yesterday, just to acknowledge, I did in fact cover a different missing person case, the Alex Easterling one. Now, still very new to it. Going to take a bit of time to get into it and try and learn, right? On top, of course, there's some very important main videos that I have been focusing on that need to be done first, just so it's clear. The head needs to be clear, the mind needs to be clear to be able to process the new stuff, right? There are other people actively out there, such as Kaylee, covering this and that, so that's obviously good. It's not being abandoned, so there's no like pulling factor there where it says you've got to do it now. Okay, you're forced to do it, that's where it's unnatural, and that's where it's likely to underperform. So you've got to go with the flow, okay? I need to tick things off the list, such as with the Kenny Veach videos, do the important ones, and the same with the Dylan Rounds case with the case files and stuff of Bibbins. Try and get that out the way, but have it evenly spread out so it gives enough time for people to catch up with one video to another. Don't want to be going around all over the place because it'll probably get people a bit dizzy, right? With all these different cases. And obviously the way I've been doing it for all this time, you suddenly do like a 180 turn, it's probably going to cause a bit of confusion. And in my experience, when you do change things about, depending what case or community you're in at a certain time, there's all kinds of conspiracies that come out of it, right? Anyway, that aside, Picture Canyon, the way it seems to be now, with those coincidences and newer findings close together in a small space, small area, and an important point to acknowledge from not last night, the night before or so, when Jeff Clark did confirm that the M cave, what he found, the one which was higher up, is within the Picture Canyon area. So it could link to that M cave symbol that was picked up by Kenny Veach's camera, unknown to him at the time. So you got an M cave symbol and it's near to an M cave. That's the first time that's happened. It's a very important point to acknowledge, right? You compare one with the other. When it came to the Really Robbins situation where he found that, well, he didn't find it. Other people online when watching the footage noticed it. And I did too. But the symbol on the rock, which translated into the letter M, such as M cave. Was there any M caves in that canyon? We don't know. Really, Robin didn't seem to pick up on any. But has anyone else been there since? Unfortunately, no. That's just simply because people weren't quite sure which canyon it was, but I think some are more familiar with it now. But it's still a demanding place, so you've got to acknowledge that too. But if there is an M cave symbol down Picture Canyon, and there just so happens to be an M-shaped cave nearby to that symbol, could the same apply to Really Robbins Rock in the canyon area in a different place? You know, would it be a cave there too? Is it a coincidence? Is it a one-off? Makes you think. Because sometimes natural, other times done by humans over time, but kind of like if you enter a place, right, you can get welcome signs. Welcome to this country. Welcome to this city. Here's a sign up ahead. You've got this building. You've got a hotel. You've got a hospital. There's like indicators. There's prompts to let you know what's ahead or what's nearby. How many miles it is to here to there, right? like road signs, basically. It's kind of like that with the M cave. But if it really was, is it all natural, or is one thing natural, the other thing man-made? You get what I'm saying? Like, if you're thinking of military, some kind of secret, hidden, mysterious cave out there, maybe not truly concealed. If it was in the eyes of the military, if they have an area which just doesn't get visited by really anybody, the general public, the military wouldn't expect or feel the need to cover it up completely. But then after the presence of humans being in the area, military may be taking action. But if there were symbols in the area to do with an associated cave, and it was to do with military, why would the military need symbols up laying about? Is it just for them as guidance so they know where to go to track back to? Would there have ever been any military patrols in the area? Let that question sink in. Because, and you know, anyone else can answer it if they wish to down below. Okay, you might get a military drone flying on over, a helicopter, maybe a jet, close by or further far in the distance as you see in the sky. But besides the bombing range and areas where it's restricted, where it's for military usage only and stuff, and of course with the flying zone area where you can't go on through in your own plane, it's only allowed for military access, right, in the area because the law is quite strict. But if we're speaking of on ground level, boots on ground, right, besides hikers, besides the DNWR park rangers, what about actual military, soldiers, higher ups? Would any of them have conducted any kind of training, exercises? You know, would it be a physical test, an operation, or if there was something like a base or underground area, cave, something like that, radio place within the range of where Kenny Veach was hiking in? Has there ever been a presence of military on ground, on foot in the area? I wonder. Just a question of interest, right? But if that really did happen, at any point would there have been key signs, indicators of that's happened? Maybe. But I guess one thing you could acknowledge with the last few weeks, well not weeks, month or two, when Jomay Road was originally closed, take in mind it's now open from what Jay Chuck said, because he's been out there since, but originally it being closed for a certain length of time, don't know how long for exactly before that, before Jay Chuck got there, but closed, and then those markings much further up onto the hike around just before Skull Canyon, so quite some distance into the hike to get to that spot, right? But markings there out of nowhere. Markings, helicopter, something landed. Markings through other types of military access. Some kind of, well, some people have described it as a latch, a hatch, underground base entrance. Who knows, right? But if you get certain markings, just like with footprints, it could indicate who's been there or how many, right? You see multiple footprints, but, you know, spread out apart. Okay, more than one person. You see track marks. What type of track marks are they, right? At least from most of the hikers that have been out there, they've not seen track marks as for like vehicles. But correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a time where Scott Natal went out there and he said he saw track marks past Jomay Road? I'm sure he said something about track marks. Was it directly in that area, or could it have been if he started going off in different areas where it's lesser known or less likely for Kenny to be? Was it Pine Nut Road? I can't remember. There was an area Scott Natal was at, and he said, "Oh, I'm sure I saw track marks like vehicles, like vehicle tires." I don't know if it was directly in the area or not. If anyone else remembers, let me know if you do. If there was a link to be made, then it could be of interest, right? It's just about trying to, besides observing what's in sight, also acknowledging and looking for changes in the environment. What's been taken, what's been added, what's been damaged, what's changed overall. And then the same with the terrain, what's changed there, any track marks or footprints. Now, this is a question to the hikers that have been out there. It can apply to Jeff Clark, could apply more to SB, and even Jay Chuck. All the times you've been out there, okay, besides animals, right, and besides noises and strange sounds, as some have acknowledged, how many times have you come across footprints out there, human footprints, let's call it, which have made you think, oh, there's been another person out there, besides, you know, the regulars in this case? Does that make sense? Have you come across footprints yourself, or even track marks, which make you think and indicates, oh, there's been a presence, right? Because this is the thing, Pitcher Canyon, Jeremy Canyon, Skull Canyon, back in 2014, not really even put on the map until Kenny talked about the area, and that's when it gained interest and popularity. But it doesn't instantly mean that because it became popular, it became a tourist place and lots of people came on down. No, it's the opposite. It was still desolate, it was still quiet, and a couple ventured out over time, right? And that number will grow and grow slowly, very slowly. So maybe in many, many, many years' time, you could look back and say, oh, you know what? Quite a lot of people have been there now, but still, up to this day, not that many have been there, and for good reason too. But at least for Kenny, my question, just a side one, what do you think convinced Kenny in the first place to go out there? You know, and I guess you can also acknowledge, how many times has he been out there? If it's something he's always done, right? Not regularly, but he's done it for quite some time. It's just one of his favourite hikes or walks to do. Maybe extended it over time, the length of it, right? Because if you look back at his last time, him going out there, or more so his second to last time, the one he recorded and uploaded to his channel, the motive and reasoning behind going there and doing what he did, even it being quite wearing and draining on him, was to specifically find the M cave. That was driving him, that was the driving force, the key motivator going back there. But the very first time he went out there, or at least the time he said he went out there and then came across the cave for the first time, what was the factor? What made him go all that distance to that area at a time of when he wasn't even expecting to come across a mysterious cave, right? If it was his very first time out there on that occasion, and that's when he came across it, maybe he was trying something new. But if he has done that way back in the past as well, you know, how many times has he really been out there, Kenny Veach, in that area? And why? Why? I mean, I know you could say to someone, why go anywhere? Well, because you want to, because you choose to, because you feel like it, but is there any specific factor to why? You know, especially a certain environment where it is very demanding and rough. Does Kenny see it just simply as a challenge? He does a range of hikes over time, and it just happened to be this area, Sheep Range, Jeremy Canyon, to be a key spot. I mean, yes, he mentioned about Gas Peak. Oh, I've been out here in the past, so it's more than 2, 3, maybe 4 times, right? But take in mind, Gas Peak is over that way. He was pointing in the wrong area in his hike video. So maybe when people do look at Kenny's footage, they might be misinformed at times and think, oh, Gas Peak is near to the mine shaft. No, it's not. It's away. It's more southeast, kind of, further back the other way. So yeah, there's no harm in correcting stuff along the way, because Kenny himself, besides the possible usage of maps or not, but definitely no use of GPS, that could have been what impacted him when he couldn't recall the names of these key places. And it's important to be able to recall the names of the places, because then it makes it easier to know where it is, or at least refer back to if you're looking on the maps, right? But yeah, as I said, these are just my additional thoughts and some additional questions as we do go along. We've not got into the comments yet, but we're getting very close to do so. I just wanted to add on. So I do think when looking back at Pitcher Canyon, this is the new hotspot area. Besides the cave area and Pitcher Canyon, the beginning of it or so, seems to be 2 areas of interest due to the amount of coincidences which tie in together or so. And with the Jeff Clark situation confirming the M cave he found nearby, just kind of strengthens it more, okay? I know some people could say, what about Kenny Veach himself, right? Besides that footage, besides the cave, what about Kenny himself? Are you saying that these two areas of interest will tie into where Kenny is located at? I'm not saying that, okay? I know outsiders and people returning back might say, I thought you solved it, or I thought you've got the evidence to say, well, Kenny was alive after, or Kenny faked his disappearance, etc., etc., etc. Take in mind the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery. It parts two ways: the disappearance of Kenny, wherever he is, dead or alive, and then the mystery of the cave. Two separate things. And whilst looking at those two things, which could tie in together or split away, there's inner mysteries within, right? Some mysteries could be found which were not acknowledged or not known to Kenny at the time, but we found it along the way, which can create its own mystery, and there's no harm in looking at that too, and that's just what we're doing, okay? These areas of interest which Kenny walked through, and other hikers have, still to say brings out new ideas and findings, right? And it's just about looking at them because it's interesting. I'm sure other people think that way too, okay? So we're taking in mind what we've referred back to, and Picture Canyon being a newer hotspot area for interesting findings. Let's see what people had to say in response to it, i.e. the comment section. And if there's any questions that do need to be answered, I'll try and answer them. So here we are, just scroll across to the newest comments. I have no clue why this stupid tab has multiple options all of a sudden, typical YouTube. Start from the bottom, work our way up. Range to get through. First of all, we've got Kamran Tahir saying Kenny could still be alive after these suspicious investigations like the laugh and noise captured on camera. The more clues, then he will definitely be found soon. You never know. Kamran saying, why would a random person break into Debbie Veach's store to steal an iPad, and after that it never happened again, only once? It has to be him. I mean, as for other break-ins and damage to the area property, I've not really heard about it, seen it anywhere else. I don't think they even mentioned anything about, oh, this is the fifth time it's happened. You know, they didn't even really mention that. So if it was really a one-off, either in the eyes of others who may doubt it, just a coincidence, a one-off, or for others that are more glued in, thinking, well, it's a one-off because Kenny doing it one-time thing. Kenny hoping that he wouldn't get in trouble because the family would be able to recognise him in some way. But then Jeff Clark with his point saying, well, if the family truly wanted to cover for him, then they wouldn't have called the police in the first place. Unless, was there anything to do with insurance there, or anything to do with the damage to the window itself? I mean, yeah, the only other point you could mention is, well, maybe they should have kept the door unlocked, so if it really was Kenny at the time, he could just simply walk on in simply as and steal whatever that needs to be stolen. But then, you know, if it's kind of set up in a sense, is it like a true proper break-in? Maybe not. I don't know how the insurances quite work over there, if it qualifies for that. There has to be actual criminal damage for it to then warrant some kind of outcome. I mean, they needed the window repairing. There's only one broke at the time, one way in, same way out. But still, the other thing that's quite weird is the fact that there are multiple CCTV cameras inside and outside, at least 2 cameras outside, and no one could be bothered to check the outside cameras to see which way the intruder came in from, and if they came by car, if there was somebody else in the vehicle waiting for them to get back. You know, none of that was truly looked at. So really half-hearted, right? The investigation in general, very strange in my opinion. Moving on, we got Joe. Looks like the new channel, welcome, saying this is just an indicator to show the M Cave is on the backside of the mountain range. Kenny actually said he went on the backside of the mountain range but didn't find it. But it's back there. It's the video clip where he's trying to drink a beer but has a hard time swallowing the beer. Oh, towards the end of that clip where he's pointing over that way. If anyone does need a reference to what Joe is talking about here, go onto my channel, go to the short section, and you'll see the short video of Kenny where he points in the direction. Okay. I can also have another look back at it at some time because, as I said, I'm coming towards the end of that series. There's still like 2 or 3 clips to upload, and then you get a bigger picture of it. with these clicking objects nearby. Move out of the way, there we go. We got Josh here saying, never noticed that before, but it definitely looks like someone etched that into the rock. Yeah, quite possibly. We got Glenn, shout out to Glenn. Cleo, interesting topic, interesting indeed, that's good. Abdullah, or Abdulal, saying, you best man, because you search and more digging for these videos. I can't wait for more case videos. Okay, that's good to hear. Welcome back, Abdullah, for appearing and commenting. That's all fine. We got Jaika saying, hi Warlight Raf, I'm glad you mentioned the faces in the rocks out there. I've seen some faces in the rocks in that area. I noticed them in a few videos made by YouTubers in their hikes looking for the M cave. I mean, you know, the more faces you see in rocks, is there something going on, or is it just the imagination, the mind kind of playing tricks on one? Still interesting nevertheless, because there are times and moments out there in this world where there'll be rock carvings or wood carvings of faces or animals, right? It can be a thing. It's just being able to try and separate what is natural and what's been like more man-made, right? We got Austin here saying, in the proof Kenny Veach wasn't alone video you made recently, I thought it looked like a face too, but thought people would think I'm crazy. Okay, interesting. So more than one, well, more people with time seeing these faces in rocks. So here's the thing, if people saw this or that in the footage, I'm not going to go out and call people crazy. There's no need to do that. And with the case itself already being mysterious and deep enough, you know, the different theories and ideas are welcome. So, you know, you come out with a thought or an idea and you might think, is it going to be criticised? You can share it if you want to, if you're comfortable. There's no need to like put others down with the thoughts. I know when it comes to high school and you get the teachers in real life that say there is no wrong answer, there is no stupid answer, then you put your hand up and then you give your answer, and then suddenly the teacher's like, oh my god, how could you say that? That's silly, that's wrong. And it's like, well, you change your tune, two-faced prick. But you know, that's humans for you in the situation of schools. Anyway, moving on. Austin also says the area is creepier with how many bones there are and old items. I mean, as for bones, most of it animals, if not all of it, has been to do with animals, the wildlife. I think the thing that makes it creepy is when you see the skulls which have been placed on top of rocks, and some are higher up than others, and makes you think, was it done by a human? Was it done by a certain animal? You wonder. If you had a big pile of bones, that would be just as creepy, because it seems to be a key area where many things have fallen, or where it's been taken and then devoured, let's say, by animal or some unknown thing out there, right? You get bones scattered around over the distance. Well, just from my point of view, it doesn't sound as bad when you take in mind you're in nature, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're in a desert where there's wildlife, there's going to be a food chain, right? I mean, there's been the odd few spooky moments or unusual ones in the Dylan Rounds case when they came across some bones, like was it a cow bones, many of them scattered around in one particular spot. That stood out because the bones were pretty big from that animal. But as to the rest of the stuff, you know, makes you think. You know, bones in general are important in a case like this when searching about, right? Even if you see an animal bone or you're not quite sure at first sight, you're still going to go up to it and inspect. You might get a feeling within. Because if Kenny Veach was out there, or at least in the mindset of people that do believe he's out there somewhere, and maybe he's no longer alive, I mean, you're going to be looking for bones, trying to look for remains, proof, evidence to say that's where he is. What else do we have here? We got Holland, shout out to Holland, saying, hi, Warlight Raf, I always think that about the head. It looks like it could almost be a Mount Rushmore, one of those statues. That main huge one looks like some demon. Creepy. I did come across like a demon looking face on one of the rocks when Really Robin went out there. I did cover it on my channel. I don't know if you saw it. Got JW saying, I love your videos. I've been so entertained with the Kenny Veach videos since summer 2020. So it's good to know that you've enjoyed the videos, you found them interesting, and shout out to you for being around for such such a long time, right? So that's all good. Let me know, JW, if you have looked at any other cases in between or any of the other ones that I've covered on my channel. Let me know. Austin also says, ancient writings, lots of old items, whispers, skeletons. It has to be a curse, but I think Kenny is still alive. Okay. I mean, do any of the hikers think there could be a strange curse or bad, negative, dark energy going on in the area besides the vibrations? Is there a presence of darkness? I mean, in the mindset of Jay Chuck for quite some time, he said it was quite peaceful, calm, spiritual, out there in a positive direction. But then in recent time, with him saying he's heard voices and like people talking to him, but no one's there. Is it taking a darker turn all of a sudden? I wonder. Christy, intriguing video, thank you. Once you spot faces in rocks, you see them everywhere. Maybe. David Waters, I see a large-breasted lady in full nude. Okay, have we turned up to some art class or something? What the hell? David says, I do not think this so-called M cave exists, as no one can find it, and I don't think Kenny Veach is missing, as the whole area has been scoured and not even a bone recovered. It's a scam. David Waters says, this has been going on far too long. Get it off for something more interesting, like a wild sex party. What? Go from looking at a mystery missing person case to a sex party? This is all said by David Waters, like a default profile, so it could be a dodgy one. We got Russian Muffin saying, I swear if War like Raf don't announce they find Kenny next year or this year, I have hope Raf will bring us the announcement. Well, did you just contradict what you said there? Okay. We got Sinaloa, I found the cave. Now, if anyone does get confused by this, don't worry. Sinaloa hasn't found the M cave. This is just like, what do you call it, an inside joke unrelated to the case, okay? It's like dodgy time, that's all it is, in case you're wondering. We've got a person here called Wellbeing. Shout out to them for coming on over, saying, so glad there are folk who still searching the truth behind this mysterious story. Hopefully we get some final answers someday. I mean, at times you get bits of progress, right? Or some new findings, which may link back to older findings and it could complete a jigsaw, maybe. We got Ellison saying, okay, I don't hear the spooky voice whatsoever. Having listened over and over, you need to highlight this for us, we the people, as you would everything else. Well, Alison, you should know by now that I've covered everything else. I must have covered this as well. Impetuous One, it's all under control, don't worry. Alison, if you look back on my channel, Alison, if you do some research on my channel, you'll find the videos there. I've specifically designated a key individual video to the area, as well in recent time when I was talking about the location, not the video you commented on, but the one beforehand, I said there is a specific video I've covered with the spooky voice, enhanced, repeated, with subtitles, whatever it is. I included it at the time. I documented it. It's on my channel. It's an older video, but it's available in the playlist, and it's titled Very Creepy Voice or So, Ghost Voice Caught on Camera. It's all there. You just have to, you know, put a bit of effort in when looking for it, okay? Steve, shout out to Steve coming on in saying maybe you need to put boots on the ground. That would be nice. Well, other people have put boots on ground, and I've complemented it by analysing the footage. You know, you can't have one without the other and vice versa. So each complements one another and each role complements one another. We got the light bulb guys saying, I found a cave in the shape of an exact capital M in another video that no one has mentioned. Is that so? James saying, was it Aquachigger? He just did a Mojave video with an M-shaped mine that was deep. Not sure where in the desert then. So James, I saw your comment recently about this new Mojave video. Now, I saw you comment at the time and I wasn't sure if you were meaning the latest video by him on the case, which was, what, a year or two ago? But because I've not been on his channel yet, if he has actually done a brand new video looking at the case, that could be interesting. Maybe I'll have a look at it sometime. Now, James, let me know, does Aquachigga acknowledge all the other hikers that have been out there before him? Does Aquachigga acknowledge all the research done by the smaller channels? I'm interested, because at least when I looked at Aquachigga's footage the first time round, way back in the past, I know it might sound negative, but he did a bit of a poor job with certain coverages of the area, right? It's not a thought, it's a clear observation when you match it up, but maybe the newer videos have improved since. We've got Kostadin Dinov, shout out to them, saying, hey, I've been trying to catch up with your videos on the Kenny Veach mystery. Glad I discovered your channel, as this is a case that I find very interesting. That's good to hear. Because Google is getting insufferable with its search results, damn, and I can't find any reliable information, I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. What was the distance between the place where Kenny's vehicle was found and the mine where his cell phone was? In terms of the mileage, I can't remember, but in terms of the distance, it takes about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours to get from the vehicle up to the mine area. So it'll be, what are we saying, 5-6 miles? Or is that pushing it? 4 to 6 miles or so? That's what I would say. What's the next question? Has either the phone or the car been tested for fingerprints? I'm not quite sure. I mean, they were taken away, taken in, but at least for the phone, not much was really found on it. As said, the case itself, the official aspect and investigation, very limited, not really talked about much, not really followed up much. Next question. Do you know if there were attempts made to trace Kenny's phone location when he disappeared? Has the provider tried pinging it, etc., to find the last known locations? Not that I'm aware of, but really, maybe the phone pinging was at the mine shaft, hence why search and rescue went in that direction, possibly. I mean, Kenny did say what hike he was going to do before he went out there, so maybe the girlfriend passed it on to the search and rescue and said, Kenny is going to be probably parking here and heading in that direction. Search and rescue did, and then just happened to find the phone. But once you've found the phone, as for the phone pings, it might, depends how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? Depends how you're looking at it. If it's led to Kenny going up to the mine shaft and then dropping the phone behind, then walking on, or walking back the way he came, and then whatever happening, you wouldn't really be able to track him because his phone has been left at this point. So as for the final phone ping, it's where you found the phone. So you can't really trace it back if Kenny has gone on since elsewhere, unless he had another device with him, which he didn't, from what we know of, at least. Next thing, maybe you've covered some of these in the past. If you can remember in what video or videos, I'd appreciate if you could point it out to me so I can prioritize watching them. At this point, I don't know what to think about the case. I don't buy the offing himself theory. Why displace his phone and his vehicle like that if he wanted to end it? Also, I've seen your CCTV footage analysis video where a man who looks like Kenny breaks in a store owned by Debbie Veach, Kenny's sister, and that's the mysterious Facebook call attempt made from Kenny's profile. I have more catching up to do, of course, but these two events stand out to me for now. Okay, so welcome to the mystery in the case. It is very deep, it is quite wide and vast. I do have a playlist where all the videos are at. I mean, sometimes if you ordered it, if you went on my channel and you clicked on what's the most popular videos, that's one way of finding the most popular Kenny Veach videos I've done, but it doesn't always equate to the most important or hard-hitting ones. I mean, take in mind, I've done some very hard-hitting, very important videos which have gone under the radar, unfortunately. So maybe they're the ones you need to be on the lookout for. Take in mind, costed in, there are some sub-mysteries to this case, such as the crystal skull at the mine shaft, the sword in the tent, and then some other bits and bobs along the way, which could link to Kenny or could be a separate mystery, but it's still interesting nevertheless. It just depends where you want to start, from the very beginning or start from the latest ongoing stuff and then work your way backwards, right? And what else do we have here? DK, how do you send pictures of what I see? Well, got TikTok, got Twitter, got Instagram, so like a message was sent, that'd be one way. I don't know if a person like that has already sent one. I might need to reply to the odd comment somewhere, and I'll look into that. But that appears to be it for the comments here. It was a bit more wide and vast besides the Pitcher Canyon itself. Nevertheless, the area like Pitcher Canyon is still interesting. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Skull Canyon is another key place which I've not acknowledged enough, but I guess for me to do that, I need to be aware of who's been there and who hasn't. As for Kenny Veach, he said he went up there in the past, but in his hike video, he didn't. I'm sure SB went in that direction. I'd have to look back at that at some point. If SB is present, if he's the one that went up that way, at any point or time, if you can provide a link to that hike up that way, that'll be appreciated. If you're not able to, in the comment section on YouTube, because I know YouTube restricts and removes links by other people, which is unfortunate. It could be done on like Instagram or somewhere else, right? And it depends. Has there been any strange, creepy findings up Skull Canyon besides where Kenny Veach passed by, I wonder? But that can be for another video. I said there are some more videos to come. I want to try and get them out as soon as possible, within reason, and at least one a day if I can do. Sometimes I want to upload more, but YouTube will punish me if I do so there's no point ruining it, right? Hopefully it can be done before Christmas, so can enjoy that too. So hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. Maybe it just provided a bit of time, catch up, and for people to talk and chat in the live chat box with regards to that recent case I've covered out of nowhere, Alex Easterling. When there's space and time, I'll try and look into that further, okay? But in between, there are still things on the checklist. They need to be done as soon as possible, right? So there are still videos to come, Dylan Rounds and Kenny Veach. So be on the lookout for them. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's it for now. Goodbye. Good night for now.